Hello family, I'm your host Professor Luke Mandela. Welcome to another episode of Great Black Civilizations. Today I present to you Timbuktu in Great Black City-State of the Mali Empire. I hope you enjoy this grand story. It was one of Africa's greatest educational centers for higher learning. Most people think of Timbuktu as the remotest place on earth. Others even think of Timbuktu as being a legend or place which existed only in people's imagination. Timbuktu is located in the present-day Republic of Mali at the edge of the Sahara Desert. Timbuktu was founded by the Tuareg Meshuggah and the Kel Sheikh in the 11th century. The Kel Sheikh roamed the desert during the rainy season in search of grazing lands for their herds and camels. During the dry season, they would camp a few miles from the Niger River in search of water and grass for their livestock. Whenever the desert becomes green, the Tuareg will leave their heavy goods with an old Sheikh woman called Tinobutat, who shortly thereafter became a warehouse or a depot for commercial goods transiting from the desert. The city of Timbuktu has taken its name from this famous black lady. The historic town of Timbuktu is located at the precise point where the Niger flows northward into the southern edge of the Sahara Desert. As a result of its unique geographical position, Timbuktu has been a natural meeting point of Songhai, Wangera, Fulani, Tuareg, and Arabs. According to the inhabitants of Timbuktu, gold came from the south, salt from the north, and divine knowledge from Timbuktu. Timbuktu is also the crossroad where the camel met the canoe. It is to this privileged position that the city owes much of its historical dynamism. From the 11th century and onward, Timbuktu became an important port where goods from West Africa and North Africa were traded. Goods coming from the Mediterranean shores and salt were traded in Timbuktu for gold. The prosperity of the city attracted African and Arabs who were both scholars and merchants. Its unique combination of scholarship and business were the cornerstones that made Timbuktu a city of wealth and truth, therefore a booming desert port. Salt, books, and gold were the main commodities that were traded in Timbuktu. Salt was extracted from the mines of Tigaza and Taudenet in the north, gold from the immense gold mines of the Boer and Benbak, and books were the refined work of black and Arab scholars. Timbuktu flourished as a result of its strategic position. It is here in Timbuktu that African merchants from Gen traded with the Kel Temeshek nomads and the Arabs from the north. The Kel Temeshek and the Gen merchants were the first settlers of Timbuktu. The adobe structure of the houses in Timbuktu was the product of African and Arabs architecture. Trade and knowledge were at their height. The capture and destruction of the Empire of Ghana by the King of Soso caused a mass exodus of scholars from Walata to Timbuktu. By the 12th century, Timbuktu became a celebrated center of Islamic learning and a commercial establishment. Timbuktu had a university with 3 main renowned departments and 180 Quranic schools. These are the Department of Senko, the Department of Chingarebiya, and the Department of Sidiyaya. This was the golden age of Africa. Books were not only written in Timbuktu, but they were also imported and copied there. There was an advanced local book copying industry in the city. The universities and private libraries contained unparalleled scholarly works. The famous scholar of Timbuktu, Ahmad Baba, who was among those deported to Morocco, said that his library of 1,600 books had been plundered, and his library, according to him, was one of the smaller in the city. Timbuktu was a veritable melting pot and hub of knowledge and commerce. The city welcomed everyone. On April 20, 1628, the French explorer René Cail reached the legendary city of Timbuktu. René Cail used to say about Timbuktu, when I entered this mysterious city, I was overwhelmed by an incredible feeling of satisfaction. I had never felt such a feeling before in my life, and my joy was extreme. The German explorer, Henry Barth, had a similar experience. Today, the city is still welcoming visitors from faraway lands. The travelers have said that Timbuktu is the Rome of the Sudan, the Athena of Africa, and the Mecca of the Sahara. To sum it up, Timbuktu was the city of divine light, the city of knowledge, the city of trade, and the city of hospitality. The booming economy of Timbuktu attracted the attention of the Emperor of Mali, Mansa Musa, also known as Kenken Massa. He captured the city in 1325. As a Muslim, Mansa Musa was impressed with the Islamic legacy of Timbuktu. On his return from Mecca, Mansa Musa brought with him an Egyptian architect by the name of Abu Es Hek Es Saheli. The architect was paid 200 kilograms of gold to build Chingarebiya, the Friday Prayers Mosque. Mansa Musa also built a royal palace, the Madugu in Timbuktu. In addition, the emperor invited Arab scholars to Timbuktu. To his great surprise, the emperor realized that these scholars were unqualified to engage in debates with the black scholars of Timbuktu. Abd Erman Atimi, for example, who thought of himself as being an Arab scholar, realized that he had such an inferior academic knowledge compared to Timbuktuan scholars that he decided to migrate to Marrakesh to complete his prerequisites so he can sit in the classes as a student. Mansa Musa's pilgrimage to Mecca in 1324 had made Mali known worldwide. The emperor took with him 12 tons of pure gold and a large caravan of 60,000 men on horses and camels. He had so much gold with him that when he stopped in Egypt, the Egyptian currency lost its value, and as a result, the name Mali and Timbuktu appeared on the 14th century world map. His brother Abu Bakr II decided to find a way by the Atlantic Ocean to go to Mecca. Abu Bakr and his maritime expedition left the shores of Senegal and sailed in the Atlantic Ocean. They encountered so many difficulties and challenges that they came back to Senegal. Abu Bakr reorganized his expedition, took enough provisions and a huge army with him. This expedition has never been seen again. Today, there is strong historical evidence pointing to the possibility that this Malian prince was the first one to discover America. In Brazil, for instance, there is a presence of the Mandinka language, traditions, and customs. In 1339, the Morsi king invaded Timbuktu. The Morsi caused a lot of corruption, killing, and destruction in the city. The Mandinka dynasty, however, succeeded in repulsing the invaders. Timbuktu remained under the protection of the descendants of Mansa Musa until 1434, when the Tuareg under the leadership of Akil Akamelwal invaded and captured the city. Akil was very pious. He respected the ulama scholars. Akil reappointed Muhammad Nedi, a Songhai Tuareg, as the governor of the city. When Muhammad Nedi died, Akil appointed his oldest son, Umar, to take his place. The Tuareg, later on, however, spread so much injustice, corruption, and tyranny, that Umar ibn Muhammad Nedi, the new governor of Timbuktu, sought the help of Songhai Oli Bia, ruler of the Songhai Empire with his base in the city of Kau. In 1469, Songhai Oli conquered the city of Timbuktu. Akil fled the city. Songhai Oli put to death so many scholars that most of them fled to Wallata, which is the actual Republic of Mauritania. This is the reason why many of the manuscripts of Timbuktu are found in Mauritania today. One of the generals of Songhai Oli, who is a devout Muslim by the name of Askia Muhammad, could not tolerate the tragic treatment Songhai inflicted on the ulama scholars of Timbuktu. The prince of the Songhai, Askia Muhammad, overthrew Songhai Oli in 1493. Askia Muhammad recomforted the scholars, financially rehabilitated them, and stood by them. In fact, for all Islamic legal rulings on how to run the state, Askia Muhammad turned to these scholars. There are manuscripts in Timbuktu today where the answers to the questions of Askia are recorded. Under the Askia dynasty, Timbuktu prospered both intellectually and trade-wise until 1591, when the Moroccan army under the leadership of Pasha Mahmud ibn Zakan sacked the city of Timbuktu. The Moroccan army plundered the wealth of the city, burned the libraries, put to death many scholars who resisted them, and deported many to Fez and Marrakesh, including the eminent scholar of Timbuktu, Ahmed Baba Es Soudain, meaning Ahmed Baba the Black as he is preferred to be called. The scholars of Timbuktu were righteous, devout, and were not afraid of anything except Allah, the Most High. It was in this context that when Pasha Mahmud tried to deceive the scholars by having them sign a treacherous treaty, the black eminent scholar and the fearless professor of Sidi Yahya University, Muhammad Bogayogo, objected and told the Pasha, I would rather have you cut my arms off up to the shoulders than to bear a false testimony. A lot of manuscripts left the city of Timbuktu under the Moroccan invasion to find their way to Fez and Marrakesh. In 1893, with the colonization of West Africa by France, Timbuktu was brought under French rule until 1960, when Mali became independent. Many of the manuscripts of Timbuktu are in the museums and universities of France.